Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. The news is live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra. In Kumasi, we are on Love 99.5 FM. We are on a number of affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. We are on Amenuveve FM in Aflao. We are on Bedering FM in Bunkrugu, Ganga FM in Jirapine, KTU Radio in Kufuria. We're live on Twitter Spaces. We're on Facebook and myjoyonline.com. Interactive app. The Midday News is sponsored by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Petrosol is always a delightful experience. Also brought to you by Duraplus Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC pipes and water tank. Where Duraplus goes, water flows. This afternoon, the International Monetary Fund is warning of social unrest in Ghana, which could delay implementation of its $3 billion program if government fails to implement measures to control corruption.
But basically, it boils down mostly to the lack of political will most at times. And the fact that essentially these structural reforms require a lot more time than a political cycle.
We'll get to hear the views of an expert, plus why the fund believes the free SHS policy is poorly targeted with poor learning outcomes. Also, oil marketing companies are meanwhile warning of an increase in petroleum products if government implements the IMF suggestion of an adjustment in taxes and levies on fuel.
If we adjust it, obviously the general effect will be the price will go up. And of course, we're also not going to stop there. We have a stake in it. Our margins also have to go up.
Finance Minister Ken Oforiatta says government will protect the most vulnerable as it implements the program.
Program that we have put together, we are very particular about interventions to support the vulnerable.
And later in the election headquarters, I'll take you live to Kumewu in the Ashanti region, where the IGP is set to meet parties contesting the by-elections tomorrow. Meanwhile, one of the candidates has expressed disappointment at the EC for changing his symbol on the ballot sheet.
And then the EC went on and gave me a who. We didn't have any agreement on that. Probably maybe I could have chosen another symbol for mine, but they didn't.
And also, commercial transport operators still charge old fares despite directive for a reduction in fares by 10%, stating that spare parts are still expensive to afford.
I say about to Lord for my driver for quite you can any.
I'm the buyer and young to Penifona, almost simple. I say first time I got the entire first me. What do I say? Lord fair.
We also have sports.
Ajax name prize for Black Stars midfielder Mohamed Kudus, with Premier League heavyweights eyeing a move for the Ghanaian this summer.
And much later, if you missed cues and lyrics on Joy Prime last night, here's what the contestants treated us to.
Oh, I wanna dance with somebody. Misty woman,
We'll get to tuning to the electrifying tunes from the 80s and 90s. That and more here on the Midday News. I am Emefa Apawu. This is your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Please stay on for details. Many thanks for choosing us. Now, the International Monetary Fund is warning of social unrest in Ghana, which could delay implementation of its $3 billion program for Ghana if government does not tame corruption. In its May 2023 report on Ghana, the fund says this will happen if government fails to implement measures to control corruption. It notes that control of corruption in Ghana has deteriorated in the last 10 years, making it necessary for some governance reforms as part of measures to stabilize the economy. My colleague Kofi J is on our research team and joins us in studio with more on this. Kofi, first, let's talk about the specific concerns about corruption, which has led the fund to warn of possible social unrest.
Right, and for those, this is captured under the reforms to bolster governance. The IMF says that the World Bank worldwide governance indicators show Ghana is perceived to outperform most sub-Saharan Africa and middle-income countries in many aspects of governance. However, these indicators also show or suggest that the performance in governance effectiveness, regulatory quality, and control of corruption have deteriorated over the past 10 years.
Okay, so do we know if government agrees with this particular assessment?
Also, the IMF says that government is committed to continue addressing some of these challenges under the fund-supported program. Government has asked for technical assistance from the IMF to conduct a governance corruption diagnostic assessment. Government is also committed in addressing weaknesses in the existing asset declaration system for public officials, which currently lacks an effective verification process. So a new Conduct of Public Officers Act will be enacted soon. But in fact, the IMF knows that this report In fact, the IMF program was successful because government took efforts to publish the COVID-19 audit report.
Okay, but there's still the concern of possible unrest.
Well, so under the risk assessment matrix, MFA, the fund revealed that supply shocks, high inflation, and real drops in a real wage, spillovers from crisis in other countries has worsened inequality, and the likelihood of this happening is very high. So they are actually telling government to do these things. First, they say governments should take measures to strengthen governance and anti-corruption frameworks. To implement orderly fiscal consolidation and also strengthen social, financial safety nets.
Okay, let's talk about the free SHS now, because it was captured under education. Key concern for the fund?
Well, so under education, the fund says that Ghana spends close to 4% of its GDP on education, which has good results in terms of enrollment, but poor learning outcomes. So the fund says that the flagship program, Free SHS, which covers the full cost of secondary education, has helped increase enrollment, but it is poorly targeted. Recommendation: they are asking government to identify areas of potential improvement of education spending, include a strengthened primary education, very important, and also teacher training and stronger performance under the funding process. So teachers are going to enjoy training under the new IMF program.
Thank you so much, Kofi, for breaking it down for us. We can now hear from economist Dr. Priscilla Chumesi-Bafo, who doubts that corruption will be controlled in the 3 years Ghana will be under the program. Here's why.
I think it's a call in the right direction, but I'm a bit skeptical about the progress that can be made within 3 years that the country would be under the program. But essentially, when you look at over the period, all our IMF programs, we tend to focus so much on the funds that we get.
Exactly.
And then when you look at policy prescriptions that enable us to transform our economy, build on systems and structures so that we can address the inherent vulnerabilities in the economy, you tend not to see a lot of these. So I'll give you a typical example. Under the 2015 ECF program, I think that is when we instituted the Fiscal Responsibility Act and all that. And then COVID came, and under force majeure, we had to put that aside and get back on. I think the document is also getting us back to the fiscal responsibility at levels of any government not running a deficit over 5% of GDP. I think these are systems that we need to ensure. And for me, my passion is basically on the economic side, because issues like governance and things, sometimes the outcomes are difficult to measure. And so, in essence, we should be more committed to addressing the inherent issues. Like Theo said, if you've been given paracetamol or whatever to control the temperature, we need to get to the root cause of what is causing the rise in temperature. And those are the structural issues.
That's Dr. Priscilla Chumesi-Bafo, an economist. Well, the oil marketing companies are meanwhile also saying they will increase the prices of petroleum products if government implements the International Monetary Fund's demand for an adjustment in taxes and levies on fuel. Kweku Ajimandia is chief executive.
If you're going to do this, obviously it's going to affect the market. General price will increase. I must say that we are doing some for the ex-refinery price, but we are not doing it for the other ones, which in terms of levies and taxes. And that's what they are talking about. If we adjust it, obviously the general effect will be the price will go up. And of course, we're also not going to stop there. We have a stake in it. Our margins will also have to go up, because most of the things that we use are imported too, also forest dominated. So that becomes the effect. So even if we were to do that with the present fuel present fuel price will just go up slightly.
We can now hear from Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, who says the worst days of Ghana's economy are over. He's been speaking on BBC's Newsday.
It's a really difficult space in the global economy with regards to that. Yes, we were, as you know, able to bring inflation to single digits before the COVID, the Ukraine destabilization, and the whole global supply chain disruption. In the program that we have put together, we are very particular about interventions to support the vulnerable. And so that should act as a buffer as we go through this very difficult period. I expect that these structural reforms would ensure that certain weaknesses in the economy are strengthened for us and we won't come back to the fund.
Now let's focus on transport fares, because commercial drivers at Circle here in Accra say the recent reduction in fuel prices cannot be enough reason for the reduction in lorry fares by 10%. According to them, there are several other factors in running the transport business, and until prices of spare parts and lubricants are reduced, they will not be in the position to reduce the fares. Some of them have been speaking to Joy News.
It is true that they have reduced the fare, but the problem you are facing is the executives are finding how to give us the price. So we are just waiting how much you are going to reduce from it.
Yes, I am passing a better. Lord of Fair, I yet to mono. You did not buy a tray and answer force on a yet to Lord of Fair. Fuel, spare parts, and no mine and Casasan and Munya Melcon, you want to fuel. Yet to Lord of Fair. I say about to Lord of Fair, my head rubber for quite a chicken. Radio station, I did by chance and I'm better Lord of Fair, we say, a better Lord of Fair, we say, yes, or China will be anti 10%. Rabbi, you man, I will come so, and you one company.
I don't know, because it's anything for no about from create, I can't be about from. And last year, it's always I trying to 553, and then we go try, we trying to 755. Almost 100%. We were trying to 750, 75 Ghana cedis. And
I'm going to buy any young to Penifona, almost in Kunja. First time I got the entire first me. What do I say? Lord of ABS, at so Yatum, but we're now in the bar and Penifora, as a almost in Kunja, no more torture, I drain our new road minister. A torture, I drain or no so then I knew Banana. On my day, yeah, who's uncle for
concerns of some drivers, but some passengers think they have always been cheated by the drivers because a hike in fuel price always results in the increase of fares.
As far as the fuel prices go down, the drivers are supposed to reduce the fuel, the lorry fare, so that we the passengers we can be able to also enjoy the benefits more. Because
I think that you too fuel more to fair no, you here, and you are fair no. Said a car, injected to our some money and take it to me, but Uko company and because the last time soon let it be. Lord, one city per car, the one is on for no. It's a very, very bad.
Yeah, I think so. The drivers, they are not being fair to the passengers.
I think for me, they are just making profits because ideally, when if the fuel has been reduced, then obviously they should also try as much as possible to also reduce the fare. But that's exactly that's not what we are seeing.
Let's head into the election headquarters now. Let me take you to Kumewu now.
Enim year number one. Enim year number one. Messi enim year day. Enim year day. Enim year day. Sautu number one ni year unya sa obesho mo mo from wo. Afre so ni atosu mienu abatuo ene yekwo ye kan.
Sounds from the final rally held in Kumewu, a constituency in the Ashanti region ahead of that by-election tomorrow. There's heightened tension between the New Patriotic Party and an independent candidate as the hours draw closer. The NPP has over the years won the seat, but the independent candidate Kwekudua came close to snatching it in the 2020 parliamentary election. Over the weekend, most of the NPP stalwarts were in Kumewu to campaign for its parliamentary candidates. Let's hear from the campaign grounds.
Me Justin Kodia and that day Semabaha said me buy a campaign Amaya Nia Enes semi free her me catch me mama me catch me papa me catch me nana me catch me nia say abatuo no ye beto ne blada me sorry them. So.
Well, Ohiming Teria of our political desk is at Kumewu and tells us the IGP will be meeting the contesting parties in the by-election. He joins us on the phone with details of what's happening now. Ohiming, let's talk about the IGP's meeting, but briefly tell us about the mood in Kumewu.
Yes, Emefa, the electorates in Kumewu are bracing up and preparing for tomorrow's by-election. Now, political campaigning has ceased in the constituency. The political actors and the candidates vying for tomorrow's parliamentary seat are doing house-to-house campaign. The NDC says they'll be doing man-to-man campaign, house-to-house, and also meet the electorates one-on-one to sell their candidate, Kwesi Amankwa, to him. So for now, political campaigning has ceased, and it's different compared to yesterday, where you see a lot of people on the streets wearing MPP's party colors and that of the National Democratic Congress or the individual parliamentary candidate. So the situation is quite different from what we witnessed yesterday when it was a very busy day for both candidates. For all the candidates, NDC had 2 political rallies at Sechere and then Maso, and then MPP also had yes at Kumewu. And for now, the situation is a bit different. But the Electoral Commission says it is ready to conduct free and fair elections tomorrow. All the electoral materials, according to the Ashanti Regional UC boss, Benjamin Biobano, has been dispatched to Kumewu. As we speak, they have arrived. So at dawn tomorrow, they will start distribution to the 75 polling stations here in Kumewu. At the 75 polling stations, the EC expects to be manned by police officers. They expect police presence in all the 75 polling stations. So we are looking at a voter population of 34,790, with Kumewu Township and Bodomase being the densely populated electoral areas in Kumewu for tomorrow's by-election MFR.
All the materials that we need have been brought to Kumewu. But I want to assure everyone that Electoral Commission, as we are known for, we are going to ensure that the final result that will be declared will be a true reflection of the desire of the people who voted. What I want them to do is to provide effective polling agents, not noisy ones, for them to be at each of the 75 polling stations. They needed to be there, they have to be there to observe and also to ensure that the rights of their candidates are protected.
Now, Ohiming, let's talk about the IGP's meeting with the various candidates and the parties. What has necessitated this meeting?
This is a known approach by the police that to meet all candidates or political parties vying for elections in the country. And the Kumewu by-election is no exception. The Inspector General of Police, George Akufu-Dampare, has been in the constituency for some days now. He has been leading police operations in the constituency. Just last night, he met the police personnel and then the top brass of the Ghana Police Service at Oyoko to discuss with them the plan for election coverage and the protection of the ballots. So the IGP wants to ensure that every electorate who goes to the poll and those observers who will be observing the elections to go home unharmed. So he's meeting all the political parties and the candidates and their representatives.
Well, that's my colleague Ohiming Teria there giving us all the details when it comes to preparations towards that by-election in Kumewu tomorrow. Well, we know that the 2 independent candidates who both bear the same name, Kwekudia, and now both wrapped in kente cloth on the ballot paper. One, emblem has been changed. We know that the EC has been offering explanations as to that. But we can hear from Kwekudia too, who has been explaining on Love FM that he's disappointed in the EC's decision to change his emblem.
Nobody has ever consulted myself or any member of my campaign team that my logo resembles that of the other independent candidates, so therefore they might be confused during the election. I was a bit baffled, but with humility, I concurred with the EC And then the EC went on and gave me a who. We didn't have any agreement on that. Probably maybe I could have chosen another symbol for mine. But they didn't.
Well, he also accused the other parties of busing people outside the constituency for rallies and other campaign meetings.
All the people who are allowed in Kumawu are not Kumawu residents. They don't even vote there. They don't even understand, the political dynamics in the town. So people can go about mounting platforms with MPs from various regions, busing supporters from various parts of Ghana to Kumawu, just to be loud with party paraphernalia and all that.
Well, the EC has been explaining its decision to change his falcon into a hole.
When he came, the last Kwakubia, we told him that his symbol resembles another one that has already been adopted by one of the candidates. So he needed to go and change it. We advised him to do that, but he said that was what he has been used in doing his campaign, so he was not prepared to change it. And so we cautioned him that we will not at our level be able to reject it, but we will send it to head office for the final determination. It was sent to head office, and then head office interacted with him for him to change his symbol. In all this, he was still adamant. The first thing we did, the first nomination notice of pool, was a draft that was sent to the commission for approval. And whilst we were talking with the young Kwakudria for him to change, we came out with this draft for approval by a commission.
Okay.
Commission looked at it and realized that what we told Kwakudria on the 5th was what he should do. And so commission also realized that he needed to change his symbol.
That's the Ashanti Regional Director of the EC, Mr. Banobio, there speaking on the probe last night, taking us on a quick break here on the Midday News. It's live on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra and Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM. The Midday News is sponsored by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Petrosol is always a delightful experience, and also brought to you by Duraplus Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC pipes and water tank. Where Duraplus goes, water flows. We've been talking about the International Monetary Fund's warning of social unrest in Ghana, which could delay implementation of its $3 billion program if government fails to implement measures to control corruption. We return with sports, and then we'll talk about the state of confusion and despair as traders at Tiptoe Lane at Kwame Nkrumah Circle in Accra count their losses following fire outbreak, which is said to have destroyed scores of shops. And if you missed cues and lyrics on Joy Prime last night, here's what the contestants treated us to.
I wanna dance with somebody. Misty woman in
Imagine say water wake up at dawn. In no bath, in no chop. Where it vanish for your area for 2 weeks. You not get one drop safe inside your tank.
Hey.
Haja, our life was in dangerous. Only our neighbor get water with water tank.
Water tank?
Yes, water tank. Mamma mia, that water tank get meter for checking water level. That water tank be fine past Kumasi Selenium. That water tank be tough like Ghana Army. That water tank, they carry water pepe, so say some no go left inside the supply tank. What a tank! As my boss, Mr. Poncho, go talk.
Beautiful, durable, with water level indicator and accurate volume of water. Water tank. What a tank! By Duraplast.
Thanks for staying with us here on the Midday News. Let's do sports.
Thank you very much. Yep.
Oh, us now.
Well,
Oh,
the least said about them, the better.
Yeah.
Now, Ajax will demand a transfer fee of £40 million to part ways with Ghana international Mohamed Kudus this summer. Now, Kudus declined a contract extension with his current deal set to expire in June 2025. Now, Arsenal, Manchester United, and Newcastle United are reportedly interested in signing the 22-year-old. Kudus is having his most prolific season in his career, scoring 18 goals and providing 6 assists across all competitions. Now, this is an interesting statistics, and he has to obviously sign for Manchester United and not Arsenal, because Arsenal, they've shown that they are bottlers of the league. So United is a good team that he has to come to. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Fred.
Thank you, Mubarak. Fred is watching you closely. Now, let's take a quick walk to Kwame Nkrumah Circle, the tiptoe lane to be precise, and traders there say they are unsure what is next for them after fire raised their words to the ground Sunday afternoon. Thousands of cedis worth of goods were burnt in the almost 3-hour fire outbreak. James Aveji has been interacting with some shop owners.
Accessories, those back cover, protectors, charger, and teeth. Okay. So yesterday, I was from church going home. Before I get a call that our shop is burning. So as soon as I get down from the car, I take Okada. So see, I have to come here early and come and secure some things. But before I reach here, everything's scattered. You can't even near the fire say you are picking one of your things out. So
you haven't been able to pick not even one thing?
I even brought new goods. Yesterday was 5 days. Brought new goods. Equivalent of 1.2 billion. 120,000 Ghana cedis. All bent. Yes, my shop. This one. I brought new goods. You can ask everybody here. New goods. Everything bent.
That's about 1, 2, 3.
That their way to the other hand. I am shop.
Wow.
And over 3 billion. Because Saturday,
you brought things on Saturday.
You brought over 100 million.
The money too was inside.
There was money inside.
Were you able to get?
I took some and I forgot the rest.
Let's head to the Upper West region now, and the Minister, Dr. Hafiz Bin Sali, has expressed worry over the troubles and frequent change of leadership at the Northern Development Authority. For almost 5 years, the NDA has witnessed the appointment of 3 chief executives, which he thinks isn't best for the authority. Rafiq Salam has more.
President Akufo-Addo in March 2023 appointed Lawyer Sule Sambian as the Chief Executive Officer of the Northern Development Authority, NDA. His appointment followed the resignation of the acting Chief Executive Officer, Somela Abdul Rahman, who is being prosecuted by the Special Prosecutor for corruption and corruption-related offences. Lawyer Sule Sambian is therefore the 3rd Chief Executive Officer to be appointed for the NDA since its establishment in 2017. Upper West Regional Minister Dr. Hafiz Bin Sali, in a meeting with the new Chief Executive Officer, expressed worry over troubles and frequent change of leadership at the NDA.
There is something basically wrong, which all of us must try to fish out so that we'll be able to bring stability and focus into the affairs of NDA.
Dr. Bin Sali, however, urged the new leadership to seek the support of the various regional coordinating councils to enable them deliver on their mandate.
See the RCCs as your partners. We have the expertise because we have been in existence for long. So some of the issues, if you are facing challenges, please consult us and we'll make available our expertise to the NDA. Fortunately, in your case, you have come with a new set of deputies. So it's just a brand new team.
Well, let's talk about cues and lyrics now. It's on Joy Prime every Sunday evening. Well, contestants yesterday treated us to electrifying tunes from the 80s and 90s. Yes, what you missed.
Come on, everything should be alright. Cues and lyrics, Midday are style and down. Watch out. Hey, after you make it, birds are watching you keep around you. Not for them to fake it. Tough time come, them no sticking with you.
I'm becoming a fan, you know?
Make man happy, who make man cry. Be careful about those low notes.
I wanna be with you. Oh.
Boys back.
And that's how we wrap up today's edition of the Midday News. Don't forget to catch cues and lyrics every Sunday evening. There's also a repeat on Joy Prime. And there's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Ghana suspends COVID-19 health declaration form for international travelers. Also, we have the live stream of the 7th Ghana CEO Summit and Expo currently underway. Also on the Joy News channel, you want to catch it. I am Emefa Apawu. The Living Word with Pastor Mensa Otabil is up next. Please do stay.